Welcome to another talk by Gisborne Christian Fellowship. We're at a different venue this time. We're at a little church in Danbydale, which is in the middle of North Yorks Moors. And I've named this one, The Lord Tells Us to Rest. I was with a group of Christian friends at the meeting of the Christian Motorcyclists Association the other evening, that's CMA for short. If you haven't come across Christian motorcyclists before, we have a website and it gives you up-to-date information on what we're doing and the world of CMA. So if you'd like to check that out, you might find some interesting bits of information and actually where we're working, so you can come along and visit us if you wish. So where was I? Oh yes, we always start our meetings with a prayer of thanks and a thought from the Bible. A friend called David brought these thoughts with him, and he brought the word rest and what it meant to him. He said, in a world where we spend so much time in work with our families, galloping from here to there, taking the kids, doing this, that and the other, we have little time to actually find rest. Now rest isn't just having a sleep in the afternoon or on an evening. It's a rest where we spend time with God, and that's a different sort of rest. It's a spiritual rest. See, Dave was quoting from the Bible, as we always do, and it's a verse from the first book of the Bible, and it's Genesis. And it was in Genesis chapter 2, when God rested from his creation of the world, and how he made rest a time which is not only good for us, but it's spiritually important. He quoted also from the book of Psalms, I know Psalm 23, and it compounds this one. It says that God was actually protecting us, allowing us this time to rest. And I'll just read it from Psalm 23, and it's because the Lord is my shepherd, I have everything I need. He lets me rest in the meadow grass and leads me beside the quiet streams. He gives me strength. He helps me do what honors him the most. Even when walking through dark valleys, I will not be afraid, for you are close beside me, guarding all the way. You provide delicious food for me in the presence of my enemies. You have welcomed me as your guest. Blessings overflow. Your goodness and unfailing kindness shall be with me all of my life, and afterwards I will live with you forever in your home. Protection and rest, two promises given by God. So should we slow down and spend a little time with him? Dave told us there's more advice in Psalm 127 verse 2, and it says, it is useless for you to work so hard from early morning until late at night, anxiously working for food to eat. For God gives rest to his loved ones. So rest a little in your work. Here is God who loves you, and he is giving freely the gift of rest. So let's take that on board. Dave's Bible verse is moved from the Old Testament to the New. He's quoting from the book written by a friend of Jesus called Matthew, and he speaks he wrote in chapter 11 verse 28 to 30. He's quoting the words spoken by Jesus because he was there at the time, and Jesus tells us to come to him and he will help you, or help us, to remove the burdens we all carry, because we all carry burdens through life, and he will give us rest. Then Jesus said, come to me all of you who are weary and carry heavy burdens, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you. Let me teach you, because I am humble and gentle at heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy to bear, and the burden I give you is light. What he's actually saying, it's about, if you can imagine two oxen ploughing a field, they have a big piece of wood between them, and the plough comes from the centre so that both oxen can share the load. And what Jesus is saying here is, I'm sharing the load with you, so your burden is a lot lighter. He's not telling us he's actually giving us more burdens. He's not telling us he's giving us more things to do. What he's saying is, come with me. And he's teaching us, that's his followers, come closer to me and I will make your lives easier. And the word is, I will give you rest. And these are the words spoken by Jesus himself. Today's final quote is from Paul's letter. Now, Paul was a Jewish leader, and he became a follower of Jesus, even though he'd actually never walked with Jesus in his lifetime. And he was writing to encourage Jewish Hebrew friends who would also, these were Jews who were converted to follow Jesus. And Paul is speaking to his fellow Jews, and he is to his followers of Jesus who lived in and around Galilee. He was giving them encouragement. He wanted them to carry on the track that they started following Jesus. In his letter, he tells them many things, but by the time we get to chapter 4, he has yet another revelation. So I'm reading from Hebrews chapter 4 verses 9 and 10. It says this: there is a special rest still waiting for the people of God. For all who have entered into God's rest have rested from their labours, just as God did after creating the world. So let us do our best to enter that rest. So what's Paul saying here? See, Matthew tells the followers of Jesus, he walks with us and helps us throughout our lives here on earth. Paul strengthens all those thoughts, but I think he also goes one step further. And I think Paul, and it's only my opinion, in his letter to the Jewish followers, he's speaking about time after our walk with Jesus here on earth, when we are taken into heaven. He tells us there will be a special rest in a special, vibrant and exciting place Jesus has prepared for us. In short, God and his son Jesus wants you and I not to rush around aimlessly trying to improve our lives here on earth, but by following Jesus we can find a happier and more fulfilling life both on earth and in heaven. And that to me sounds like a win-win situation. So I'll go back to the meeting we were having with our CMA friends, which, if you've never been to one of our meetings, which obviously you haven't, it's usually filled with lots of banter and lots of laughter. Most Christian meetings are that way. We aren't somber people like people seem to make out. So after the meeting, the day after in fact, I was going over Dave's thoughts. I actually got his notes, his message from God, and that's what it was resonating with me. And I hope this idea of rest also resonates with you. So all I'll say is, if God's word has touched you, I pray that you now ask yourself a question. And that question is, will I continue to rush endlessly around tiring myself out? Or will I receive Jesus who will, and notice that word will, who will give me rest? That's a question only you can answer. God bless you, and thanks for listening. Have a great week. Bye.